Calling BS, President Trump has some tough talk for Russian President Vladimir Putin. And another win for the administration as the Supreme Court greenlights mass firings at federal agencies. Plus, dad bod blunder. A Kansas City radio host has the gall to body shame three-time Super Bowl champ Patrick Mahomes. Those stories and more today, Wednesday, July 9th. I'm Caitlin Becker, and this is the New York Postcast. Washington, D.C. is about to downsize. The Supreme Court ruled that President Trump can proceed with plans to slim down the size of government with mass firings across federal agencies. Now, the president had signed an executive order directing those layoffs back in February. A lower court paused it, and then the case was kicked up to the highest court in the land. And SCOTUS was nearly unanimous in the ruling, with Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson the only dissenter in the 8-1 decision. The Supreme Court said that they blocked the lower court order because the judge's decision was based on her view of the legality of the executive order and not on the plans themselves. Now, this ruling doesn't necessarily mean that the administration will fire federal employees without any issue. SCOTUS added it's, quote, too early to determine if the administration plans to downsize the federal workforce in a manner that is unlawful, which really means that we can safely assume there will be legal challenges to actual firings, sure to continue on a case-by-case basis. Now over to education, where we're seeing a big split. The National Education Association, this is the country's largest teachers union, it's cutting ties with the Anti-Defamation League over the organization's support for Israel. The NEA charges that the Jewish civil rights group calls any criticism of Israel anti-Semitic, even if, in its view, such criticism is warranted. The teacher group promised to continue embracing the, quote, urgency to respond to the questions of racism, injustice, and all forms of bigotry, but said that the ADL is not the social justice education partner it claims to be. The Anti-Defamation League, on the other hand, shot back, calling the NEA's move profoundly disturbing and saying that it would further isolate their Jewish colleagues. Now, the ADL has worked for 40 years with U.S. schools in developing curriculums and training to teachers to battle anti-Semitism from kindergarten all the way through high school. And now over to Texas, where one senator is cruising into a PR disaster. As horrifying floodwaters along the Guadalupe River claimed more than 100 lives in Texas last weekend, Texas Senator Ted Cruz was out of state, out of the country, and on vacation with his family in Greece. Now, this is not the first time this type of thing has happened to the Republican lawmaker. In 2021, the senator was kicking back in Cancun after his state was walloped by a winter storm that left millions freezing without power and without water. So considering the devastating loss of life ravaging the Lone Star State right now, you would think the second he was told, Ted Cruz would rush back, surely having learned his lesson from before. I mean, the Ted Cruz Cancun memes are still a thing 4 years later. Nope. An unidentified witness told the Daily Beast that they saw the senator touring the Parthenon in Athens 24 hours after the floods. They told the outlet that they said to him as they passed, quote, 20 kids dead in Texas and you take a vacation? Cruz reportedly grunted and moved on, and the witness says that his wife shot them a dirty look. Now, Ted Cruz's spokesperson called this report a, quote, BS piece published by a BS rag outlet. And by Sunday night, a day and a half after the tragedy, Cruz had returned to Texas. Now to our big story, Russia and Ukraine. President Trump and Vladimir Putin are on the outs. The president did not mince words in his cabinet meeting Tuesday when he was asked about Putin. He slammed the Russian leader for, as he put it, killing 7,000 soldiers a week on both sides of the conflict, before saying this.
We get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
Now, that tough talk comes a day after he told reporters that he will continue arming Ukraine with defensive weapons, despite earlier reports of a pause in such shipments. The White House had confirmed halting those weapons deliveries, citing a possible shortage in U.S. stockpiles. But when asked about the complete 180 on arming Ukraine, the president surprisingly said he didn't know who ordered the pause. For more on this, I'm now joined by the Post Washington correspondent, Caitlin Dornbos. Caitlin, so walk us through what we know about the back and forth on weapons to Ukraine.
What we know is that President Trump has been solid in his stance on continuing the aid to Ukraine. He had a conversation with President Zalinsky on Friday before the pause even happened, in which he reiterated his support for continuing to help Ukraine defend itself with defensive weapons primarily. But what happened was shortly after that, the Pentagon issued an order to pause all weapon shipments to Ukraine. These were weapons that have already been approved by Congress to be sent, already paid for. Some of them were actually already in Europe, ready to be transferred. And so it kind of came out of nowhere, really surprised the Ukrainians who had gotten a different understanding of what the president had wanted there. And now we're learning that it was really a unilateral decision made in the Pentagon without consulting the president first.
Now, you spoke to a top advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zalinsky this week, and he told you about the growing relationship, kind of a bromance between Trump and Zalinsky right now. What did he say that means for the future of his country?
Yeah, they are really excited that the two presidents of both the US and Ukraine are really understanding each other. It's so much more than, I love that you use the term romance, but it's so much more than just getting along the way that Trump has previously in the past gotten along with, say, Putin. They have like a personality match almost. Instead, it's a personality match with Zelensky and Trump, but it's also a deep understanding of their shared values of wanting to stop the killing, of wanting to be very transparent with their voters. These shared values that they are learning to understand in each other and really get to know each other, that's going to have a powerful impact on the future of the Ukraine war, because now Trump is getting a fuller picture of who really wants peace in this war, and that's not looking like Russia.
So we have arms flowing back to Ukraine. You just mentioned the kind of hot and cold relationship between Trump and Vladimir Putin. Now he's criticizing Putin. And it really just seems that there's no end to this conflict between the two countries in sight. So where do we go from here?
I think that we are really at a critical junction, and it's due to this very hard work that President Trump has had in getting to know the different sides, both Zelensky and Putin. It's clear that he now understands that Putin is just leading him along and doesn't want an end to the war. So I think we'll begin to see some real decisive actions taken by our president. That included, obviously, the turning back on of Ukrainian aid and his intentions to continue sending Ukrainian aid. That will make a big difference in Ukraine's ability to stay in the fight. And then also, we've got a sanctions package that will be discussed in the Senate. And in the Senate, they will be discussing this tariff bill that would put a 500% tariff on any country that imports Russian oil. Now, the reason that matters is because the countries that import Russian oil, majority are China and India. They will have to stop paying Russia these key funds that it uses to continue its war on Ukraine. So once Russia runs out of money, it's not going to be able to continue its war and keep up what it's been doing, which so far has already hurt its economy severely.
That is definitely something we will be keeping our eyes on today. Caitlin Dornbos, thank you so much. And now from our friends at Page Six, a Hall of Fame dad bod. Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowl rings for Kansas City and is a shoo-in for Canton when he eventually hangs up his cleats. But that's not good enough for KC radio host Kevin Keatsman.
Dude, you're fat. Your belly would be fat at my pool, hanging out with us, 60-year-olds, okay? My skin's flabbier than yours. I get it. Stop. Stop the fast food. Do a sit-up.
Kevin. Why, bro? Why? Now, this tirade came after pictures were posted online of the Mahomes family summer vacation. And Patrick Mahomes looked like a normal dude, like he's enjoying the brief respite he gets from honing his body like a world-class athlete. Keatsman is apparently still a bitter Betty that his beloved Chiefs got their butts kicked by my Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl earlier this year. But body shaming, come on, bro. Now, Mahomes' trainer shot back in since-deleted posts, writing in part, quote, "You don't have a clue what it takes. It's not a look. It's performance." As for Keatsman, he's still kind of trying to defend his comments on X. And finally today, gird your loins because I am about to blow your mind. Answer this. How long is a day? It's not a trick question. 24 hours, right? Wrong. A day on Earth is not, in fact, always 24 hours. Let that sink in there. There's a group called the International Rotation and Reference Systems Service, and their whole purpose is to basically act as the planet's official timekeepers, tracking the actual speed of the Earth's rotation to make sure our calendars sync. Well, this group did some science and found out that 3 days this summer need some adjusting because the moon's distance from the Earth is impacting the speed at which it spins, which incidentally makes my head spin. Now, today is the first of those 3 days. It's going to be a whopping 1.51 milliseconds shorter than your average day. That's a smidge faster than a camera flash. July 22nd and August 5th will suffer the same fate as today, and they will all be the shortest days on record since 2020. And this is something of a trend that scientists can't fully explain, but they say it is a big deal. Apparently, we fall out of whack with time, well, all the time. Fun fact, that's where leap years come into play. They kind of course correct. And that is your science lesson for today. If your brain hurts a little bit like mine does, you have the New York Post to help you out in print or online, and I will be right here tomorrow, 1.51 milliseconds early. So like and subscribe to the New York Post cast wherever you get your podcast. Don't miss it. Don't forget to do it on YouTube too. I'll be here waiting for you.